The scent of wisteria and expensive perfume fills my lungs as I take a deep breath. 3 hours on the road from my cramped Chicago studio apartment to my family's suburban home, and I'm finally here. 3 years. 1,095 days buried in casebooks, racking up debt, surviving on ramen and coffee, all to pass the Illinois bar exam. Last Tuesday, a single email changed everything. Congratulations, you have passed the bar. When I called to share the news, my mother's voice filled with excitement. Wonderful, dear. You must come home Saturday night. We have a huge surprise for you. Now, as I step through the back gate in my best interview suit, the one I saved for months to buy, I freeze. 50+ guests mingle on the lawn. A live band plays soft jazz beneath strings of twinkling lights, and stretched across the patio hangs a massive cream-colored silk banner. Congratulations on your engagement, Vivian and Nathan. My stomach drops, as if I've missed a step on a dark staircase. There, in the center of it all, stands my sister, Vivian, 27, stunning in a champagne-colored dress, flashing a 3-carat diamond ring to an admiring crowd. Beside her, smiling but somehow reserved, is Nathan Vance, her new fiancé, who comes from actual wealth, the kind my mother has spent her entire life trying to access. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I'm not even a supporting character in this production. I'm just the catering staff for a party I thought was for me. A numbing sensation spreads from my chest to my fingertips. My smile freezes in place, a mask I've perfected after years of family gatherings. Sweat prickles beneath my suit jacket. I'd worn it thinking tonight was my moment of triumph, proof that my sacrifices meant something. Now I just feel like an idiot in a costume. Oh, Elena, you made it! Good, good. My mother, Margaret, spots me from across the lawn. At 58, she still looks 45, the result of religious skincare and selective memory. She approaches, not with a hug, but with a grip on my wrist. Her fingernails dig slightly into my skin. You look exhausted. All that studying, I suppose. Before I can respond, Vivian glides over, champagne flute in hand. Oh my God, Elena, thanks for coming. I know you're busy with your little books, but this is so important to me. My throat tightens. Mom? I manage. You said this surprise was for me. My mother laughs, the sound like glass breaking. Of course, the surprise is that your sister is marrying into a wonderful family. Her voice drops, just for me. Now be a dear and go get more ice for the guests from the kitchen. Her words hit like a slap. Suddenly, I remember last Christmas. I hadn't come home. I'd stayed in Chicago to study for a mock bar exam. My mother called and guilt-tripped me relentlessly. Vivian cried because she missed you, she'd said. Your father is so disappointed. You chose your books over your family. I realize now, they weren't disappointed I was absent. They were disappointed I wasn't there to run support for Vivian, to make her look good, to fetch the ice. Tears well up. That pointless guilt combined with this public humiliation almost breaks me. I feel my shoulders curl inward, a physical manifestation of the shrinking I've done my entire life to fit within the narrow space my family has allocated for me. Then, across the lawn, I notice Nathan watching me. Unlike the others, he isn't smiling or chatting. He's observing with careful attention, his brow slightly furrowed. I swallow my tears and straighten my spine. No, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. I'm not getting the ice. I think I'll go say hello to the guests. My mother blinks, momentarily stunned. This isn't the script she wrote for me. But I'm already walking away, my heels sinking slightly into the manicured lawn as I head towards the crowd. My hands are shaking, but I keep them at my sides, fingers spread. I feel something new forming inside me. Something hard and cold and clarifying. 3 years. 1,095 days buried in casebooks, racking up debt, surviving on ramen and coffee, all to pass the Illinois bar exam. I did that alone, without their help, without their approval. I don't need to chase their validation anymore. Behind me, I hear my mother's performative laugh as she explains to nearby guests, "My elder daughter, always so independent." I don't turn around. For the first time in 32 years, I'm not playing my assigned role, and it feels like the first real thing I've ever done at a family gathering in my entire life. The party hums around me like a swarm of well-dressed locusts, devouring canapes and champagne while I retreat to a quiet corner near the garden trellis. My throat still burns from swallowing tears. 3 years of academic effort reduced to a footnote at my sister's engagement party. I pressed my back against the cool stucco wall, grateful for something solid to lean on. Voices drift from the other side. My father's distinctive baritone cuts through the ambient chatter. "Oh, Robert, your girls are so accomplished. I hear Alina just passed the bar." The voice belongs to Richard Whitman, Dad's golf buddy and business associate for 20 years. I hold my breath, waiting for my father's pride, his firstborn daughter, an attorney, top 3% in the state. "My Elena?" Dad chuckles, the sound weary and dismissive. "Oh, she just passed some test. But Vivian, she's my retirement plan. This wedding is going to solve all our financial problems." The words land like a physical blow. Some test. 3 years of 18-hour study days compressed into a casual dismissal. I grip my champagne flute so tightly I'm surprised it doesn't shatter. The liquid trembles as I try to steady my hand. Smart move with the Vance boy. Old money. Very discreet about it, too. Nathan's father sits on the board of 3 Fortune 500 companies. This marriage, is exactly what we need right now. My mind races backward through a cascade of memories, rearranging them into a new, horrifying pattern. For 3 years, I've paid for everything myself: rent, food, books, bar prep courses. Meanwhile, whenever I asked about accessing my portion of grandmother's trust fund, $100,000 split between Vivian and me, Mother always had the same answer: "Your sister has urgent needs right now. Just wait." I'd waited and waited, and they'd borrowed my money, our money, to invest in Vivian's brand. The perfect clothes, the right connections, the calculated social media presence, all designed to catch a wealthy husband. I set down my glass and move silently along the wall, needing to confirm what I already suspect. Near the rose garden, Aunt Helen stands with my mother, her usually calm face flushed with anger. "I can't believe you did this to her," Aunt Helen hissed, gesturing toward the house. Mother's back stiffens. "Be quiet, Helen. Elena needs to know her place. Today is about Vivian. This has to work. This is the whole family's chance." "Chance for what? To keep spending money you don't have?" Helen's voice drops lower. "To keep draining the girls' trust fund? That's theft, Margaret." "It's an investment." Mother's smile remains fixed, her eyes scanning the crowd to ensure no one overhears. "Elena will thank us when this works out. The connections alone." Something shifts inside me. The hurt that's been festering since I arrived doesn't vanish. It calcifies into something harder, colder. My legal training kicks in, compartmentalizing emotion, focusing on facts and strategy. I'm no longer sad. I'm done. Across the lawn, Nathan stands alone at the makeshift bar, staring into his whiskey as if seeking escape. The perfect opening. I straighten my jacket and cross the grass with deliberate steps. "Hi, Nathan. I'm Alina, Vivian's sister." I extend my hand, professional and poised. "Congratulations. You must really love her to overlook this family." His handshake is firm, his eyes sharply assessing. He's not the pampered trust fund baby I expected. There's intelligence there, caution. Overlook? Nathan's brow furrows. I offer a professional smile, the kind I practice for interviews. You know, we're a lot. Understanding flickers in his expression, followed by something else. Concern? Before he can respond, Aunt Helen appears at my side, wrapping me in a tight hug that smells like vanilla and sanity. I'm so proud of you, counselor, she whispers fiercely in my ear. Aunt Helen's grip tightens for a moment before she pulls back, her eyes scanning my face. They don't deserve you, sweetheart, but they'll need you one day. Remember that. I nod faintly, my throat thick with everything I can't say. Behind us, the laughter swells again, the clinking of crystal glasses, the flash of cameras. Vivian's voice rings out, lilting and rehearsed. Nathan, come here, love. Mom wants a photo with us by the cake. He glances briefly at me, something unreadable flickering across his expression, then turns and walks toward the patio. Aunt Helen exhales, shaking her head. She's her mother's daughter, all right, and your father... She stops herself, lips pressing into a thin line. You're not staying here tonight, are you? No, I say quickly. I'll drive back after dinner. Good. Her tone softens. Don't let them guilt you into anything, Elena. They made their choices. Her words are a lifeline. Simple, grounding, solid.
For a moment, I just breathe. The night air carries the faint scent of lilac and something burning from the outdoor torches. Beyond the laughter, the jazz band starts a slow number, the kind my parents used to dance to at charity galas. I can picture it perfectly. My mother's bright, camera-ready smile, my father's arm possessively around her waist. They'll move in perfect rhythm, rehearsed over decades of performance, while I stand at the edges, invisible again. Not tonight. I smooth my jacket, lift my chin, and walk back toward the house. Not the patio, not the crowd, but through the side door that leads into the kitchen. The caterers glance up, startled, then relax when they see my suit and name-tagged clutch. I look like I belong. I always do. I grab a fresh glass of champagne from the counter and step out into the hallway that leads to my father's office. The door is half closed, lamplight spilling through the crack. My heart beats faster. I don't fully know what I'm looking for until I see it. A brown leather briefcase, slightly open, papers neatly stacked inside. I recognize the embossed letterhead immediately. Whitman and Associates, Estate Division. I slide closer, my pulse steady, and lift the top sheet just enough to read. Trust account disbursement, Eleanor Bennett Estate. That's my grandmother. The trust that was supposed to be split between Vivian and me. Below that, 2 signatures, Margaret Holloway and Robert Holloway. And beside them in fine print, full withdrawal, executed January 14th, 3 years ago, the month I started law school. For a moment, I just breathe. The night air carries the faint scent of lilac and something burning from the outdoor torches. Beyond the laughter, the jazz band starts a slow number, the kind my parents used to dance to at charity galas. I can picture it perfectly. My mother's bright, camera-ready smile, my father's arm possessively around her waist. They'll move in perfect rhythm, rehearsed over decades of performance, while I stand at the edges, invisible again. Not tonight. I smooth my jacket, lift my chin, and walk back toward the house. Not the patio, not the crowd, but through the side door that leads into the kitchen. The caterers glance up, startled, then relax when they see my suit and name-tagged clutch. I look like I belong. I always do. I grab a fresh glass of champagne from the counter and step out into the hallway that leads to my father's office. The door is half closed, lamplight spilling through the crack. My heart beats faster. I don't fully know what I'm looking for until I see it. A brown leather briefcase, slightly open, papers neatly stacked inside.
I recognized the embossed letterhead immediately. Whitman and Associates, Estate Division. I slide closer, my pulse steady, and lift the top sheet just enough to read. Trust account disbursement, Eleanor Bennett Estate. That's my grandmother. The trust that was supposed to be split between Vivian and me. Below that, 2 signatures, Margaret Holloway and Robert Holloway, and beside them, in fine print, full withdrawal, executed January 14th, 3 years ago. The month I started law school. A slow, calm clarity settles over me, as if my body already knew what my mind is only now confirming. They didn't just borrow my money. They stole it. I slide the paper back into the folder, close the briefcase quietly, and step away. From the patio, I hear applause. Vivian's voice again, gleaming and triumphant. To family, love, and new beginnings! I raise my glass automatically, though no one can see me. To endings, and to justice. Then I take a slow sip of champagne, letting the bubbles sting the back of my throat, and walk out the front door without looking back. The night air hits me like a baptism, cool, sharp, and startlingly clear. The laughter from the backyard fades behind the closed door, replaced by the faint hum of crickets and the low murmur of traffic from the main road. For the first time all evening, I can breathe. The champagne in my hand has gone warm, but I sip it anyway, just for the ritual of it. Across the street, the manicured lawns gleam under soft amber streetlights, each one perfect, symmetrical, suffocatingly serene. This neighborhood has always looked like a painting, beautiful, expensive, and hollow. I walk down the driveway slowly, my heels clicking against the concrete. The sound feels like punctuation marks in a story I've finally stopped letting someone else write. My phone buzzes in my clutch. A text from Vivian. Where did you go? Mom wants a picture with both of us. I stare at the message for a moment, then type 2 words. Can't. Busy. I hit send before I can overthink it. Another message follows almost immediately. Elena, don't be dramatic. This night isn't about you. I laugh out loud, the sound startling in the quiet street. No, I whispered to myself, it never was. I keep walking, past the hedges and rose bushes, until I reach my car. The driver's seat smells faintly of coffee and paper, the comforting scent of my real life. I slide in, close the door, and sit for a long time with my hands on the steering wheel. Images flash through my mind like broken film. My mother's forced smile, my father's dismissive laugh, Vivian's ring catching the light. And then that document, those signatures, the theft hiding in plain sight. My pulse steadies again. This isn't rage, not anymore. It's focus. 3 years of studying the law have taught me one thing. Paper trails don't lie. I start the car, engine humming softly beneath me. The headlights sweep across the front of the house, illuminating the banner once more. Congratulations on your engagement, Vivian and Nathan. For a moment, the silk shimmers, and all I can see is the lie beneath it. Congratulations, I murmur. You've earned each other. I shift into reverse, the tires crunching softly over the gravel. As I pull away, I catch sight of Aunt Helen standing by the mailbox, her shawl wrapped tightly around her shoulders. She raises one hand, a small, quiet wave, and I return it. Neither of us says a word. We don't have to. By the time I reach the main road, the house is nothing but a blur of lights in the rearview mirror. The city skyline glows faintly in the distance, a promise waiting to be claimed. For years, I thought freedom meant earning my family's approval. Tonight, I understand it means walking away without asking for it. I roll down the window, letting the wind tangle my hair, and for the first time in as long as I can remember, I smile. Not the polite kind, but something real. The road stretches ahead, dark and open. Somewhere behind me, my mother is probably explaining my absence to the guests, turning it into another story that flatters her version of events. She can have her story. By the time I reach Chicago, dawn is just beginning to bleed into the horizon, streaks of silver and pale rose cutting through the night. The streets are quiet, half asleep, the kind of stillness that feels almost sacred. I pull into the narrow parking space behind my apartment building and sit there for a moment, watching the light shift across the cracked windshield. It feels like another lifetime since I left that house. Inside, my apartment smells faintly of old books and the lavender candle I forgot to blow out. I toss my keys on the counter, kick off my heels, and collapse onto the couch. The exhaustion hits like a wave, but beneath it, there's something else. A pulse of clarity. I grab my laptop from the coffee table and open a new folder. Holloway Trust Evidence. My fingers hover over the keyboard for a moment before I start typing everything I remember. Dates, conversations, the signatures on that document, even the offhand comments my parents made over the years. Every detail matters. I pull up the Illinois Probate Code, scrolling through sections I've memorized, but never really felt until now. Misappropriation of trust funds, breach of fiduciary duty, fraudulent concealment. Each line feels like oxygen, cold, pure, undeniable. By 8 a.m., the folder is full of notes, organized, cited, ready. I close the laptop and sit back, staring out the window. For the first time, I'm not thinking about impressing anyone. Not my professors, not my mother, not the polished strangers she parades through her life like trophies. This isn't about revenge. It's about correction, about balance. My phone buzzes again. A text from Aunt Helen. Proud of you. Call me when you're ready. I'll help however I can. I smile, warmth spreading through the edges of my fatigue. Then another notification, a voicemail from Nathan. My stomach tightens as I press play. Elena? It's Nathan. I overheard some of what happened after you left. I think you were right about certain things. If you ever need documentation or testimony, call me. I'm not blind to what's going on.
I stand, stretch, and glance at my reflection in the window, tired eyes, messy hair, and the faintest shadow of a smile. You did it, I whisper to myself. You finally stopped asking for permission. The city outside is fully awake now, buses rumbling, horns blaring, sunlight cutting through the high rises like a verdict. I take one last look at the open folder on my desktop. Then I close the laptop and pour myself a glass of water. There's work to do. But for now, I let myself breathe. 3 years ago, I left home chasing validation. Last night, I left home and found justice. And this time, no one can take it from me. I'm writing my own. Monday morning, sunlight spills across my apartment floor in long golden lines. The city hums outside, buses sighing, heels clicking on pavement, the world moving forward without apology. I wake early, shower, and dress in my charcoal gray suit. The same one I wore when I stood in my parents' dining room. Only now, it feels like armor. By 9 a.m., I'm seated before my laptop. The Zoom interview with Kirkland and Ellis begins, 5 senior partners framed in neat little boxes on my screen. Miss Holloway, one of them says, scanning his notes. Your bar results are impressive. Top 3% in Illinois. I smile, calm and composed. Thank you. I'm particularly proud of my performance in contract law. For the next 90 minutes, I answer their questions, precise, deliberate, razor sharp. I talk about ethics, diligence, truth. Not once do I mention my family. Not once do I flinch. When the call ends, I sit still for a moment, feeling the quiet victory settle deep into my bones. Tuesday afternoon, the offer letter arrives in my inbox. 6 figures. $50,000 signing bonus. I stare at it for a long moment, my hand pressed to my mouth. Then I laugh softly, freely, the sound foreign but real. My phone buzzes. Mom. I hesitate, then answer. Elena, Margaret says, her tone brittle and bright. We need to talk about Saturday. What about it? I keep my voice even, neutral, the way I was trained to in mock trials. Nathan's been asking questions, she says. About our finances. About you. Vivian says he's distant. We're having a family dinner this weekend, a healing dinner. You have to be there. Her voice softens, the practiced sweetness of a woman who's never lost control. You know how people talk, Elena. Let's just show him we're a normal family. I glance again at the offer letter glowing on my screen. Of course, Mother, I say. I'll be there. After the call ends, I sign the contract and click accept. Start date, 2 weeks from today. Saturday evening. The house looks the same as always, wisteria curling over the trellis, lights twinkling in the yard like nothing ever happened. Inside, the dining table is perfectly set. The air smells of gardenia and tension. Margaret arranges flowers. Robert pours wine. Vivian flits nervously by the window. Aunt Helen and Nathan are already seated. I take my place at the table, the folder tucked beneath my arm, calm, steady, prepared. Dinner begins with meaningless chatter. Forced laughter. Too sweet wine. Finally, when dessert plates are cleared, Margaret sets her fork down with a delicate clink. All right, Elena, she says, folding her hands. You owe your sister and Nathan an apology for your behavior at the party. The room stills. Vivian's smile tightens. Robert stares into his glass. I don't move. Margaret's tone hardens, quiet but sharp. You should think carefully, dear. Nathan's father is a senior partner at Sidley Austin. One phone call from him, and your little law career could disappear before it even begins. Now, apologize. I look at her, really look. At the lines of desperation she hides beneath foundation, the hunger for control. Then I smile. A senior partner at Sidley Austin? That's impressive. I turn to Nathan. Do you know why I became a lawyer? He blinks. Why? Because I believe in evidence. From my purse, I pull out the folder and place it on the table. The papers fan out neatly, the bank statement, the invoice, and finally, the offer letter. This family, I say, my voice calm and precise, is a fraudulent prospectus. Margaret freezes. Robert's hand tightens around his wine glass. Trust fund balance, $65,000. $8,000 for a Chanel handbag. $35,000 missing. I look at Vivian. And that's just one purchase. Margaret's composure cracks. How dare you? No, I interrupt, standing. I don't dare. I'm done. The silence is total. For 32 years, I've been the quiet one. The reasonable one. The one who swallowed her anger to keep the peace. But not tonight. I slide the final document, the Kirkland and Ellis offer letter, on top of the others. Oh, and Mother, I add. No need for that call to Sidley. I don't think they can blacklist Kirkland. Her mouth opens, closes. For once, she has no script. I came to say 3 things, I continue, voice steady. 1. I want my $35,000 restored to the trust by next week. 2. I've accepted a new position in Chicago. And 3. I meet her eyes. Don't contact me again unless it's about repayment. Vivian's voice breaks, high and shrill. You're just jealous. You've always been jealous of me. No, Vivian, I say softly. I'm just awake. Aunt Helen remains silent, but the faint smile on her lips says everything. As I turn to leave, chaos erupts, Margaret shouting, Vivian sobbing, Robert fumbling for control. Then Nathan's voice cuts through, low and firm. Stop. Both of you. She's right. I don't look back. Outside, the night air is cool, the scent of wisteria sharp and clean. I walk to my car, my heels clicking on the driveway. My hands don't shake. My heart doesn't race. There's only stillness, the kind that comes when you finally know who you are. As I drive away, the porch light fades to a distant glow, then to nothing at all. The city waits ahead, my city, my life, my truth. And for the first time, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. 6 months later, I stand at the window of my corner office on the 32nd floor of Kirkland and Ellis. Chicago unfolds beneath me, glittering and alive. I straighten a stack of files on my desk just as Marcus leans in from the doorway, grinning. A few of us are heading out to celebrate. Partners are paying. You in? I laugh. I'll grab my coat. As I pack up, my phone buzzes, Mom, the 5th missed call this week. I stare at the screen for a moment, then press decline. Outside, the wind carries the first bite of winter, but I barely feel it. For the first time, my life belongs entirely to me. 2 years later, I'm rocking my 1-year-old daughter, Aria, to sleep. The air smells of baby powder and peace. My husband, David, wraps his arms around me, his chin resting on my shoulder. My phone buzzes, a text from Vivian. Hi, Elena. I know it's been a long time. Mom and Dad said they've apologized. Aria's first birthday is next week. I'd love to send her a gift if that's okay. I stare at the message, the old ache stirring faintly, then fading. David squeezes my shoulder. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. I smile faintly. Slow as smooth, I whisper. Taking a deep breath, I type a simple reply. Thank you, Vivian. That's very kind of you. Aria would like that. Then I press send. The first brick, placed slowly on a new foundation.